Hey guys, Kenny Wisdom here, and today on this episode of Trainer Tip Tuesday, we're going to talk about something that recently came up on Burbank and some other forums, which is making sure that you know what your prizes are during the first couple searches of your turn. So this is something that, on Trainer Tip Tuesday we've talked a lot about kind of ethereal things like being a good sport or this or that, and this is kind of moving into one of a more kind of direct gameplay tip. But I think it's important. So a thread came up on Verbank and they were talking about it, and a surprising number of players had said, oh, don't worry about it. Like, I don't check my prizes. I don't worry about what my prizes are. I only check a few things. And this is really a big departure from my feelings about it and what the general community's feelings were about this when I was started playing. For instance, Sam Chen, who is one of my good friends, one of the best players in the United States, he has on record as saying, if you don't check your prizes, if you don't determine what all your prizes are during the first few turns of the game, you're not playing the game correctly. And while I wouldn't go that far, I do have to say that I agree more with Sam than I do with the others. And that's just saying that I think that prize checking is incredibly important, especially if you're playing a deck with a lot of one-ofs or a deck that relies on getting certain things out at certain times. Absolutely incredibly important. And I think that it's something that a lot of people think is more difficult than it is. I read a lot of people practicing how to do it, which is good. And I read about people saying that they just couldn't do it in time, which, it really just takes practice. It really just takes kind of being able to fan through a deck quickly and understand what's prized. If there's any interest, I'm going to do a longer form video on this sort of topic where I can give examples and kind of, maybe have multiple camera angles and film myself going through the deck. But I just wanted to get this video out to say that I think that looking through your prizes, or looking through your deck to determine your prizes, is very important, and share a few ways to do that. So the first way that I learned was to just kind of sit there and do it and kind of go through your deck, even play a few sample hands, like act like you're ultra balling on turn 1 or whatever it is, and learn to at first separate all of your cards and kind of declump your deck to kind of see what's missing. You can't do this in a tournament, and it's going to take way too long to do in a tournament, but just when you're first starting out, it can really help to look through your deck like that and kind of, you can start timing, maybe it takes you, separate your entire deck, maybe it takes you 5 minutes the first time, and then as you do it more and more, it takes you 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, and then eventually you can get to the point where you can remember that you saw the 4th Juniper, you don't need to look through it again, and kind of, that's the idea, right? The idea is to be able to start with this where you're kind of just like actually taking every card and looking at it, and then build to something else. So that's kind of what I would recommend is start with that, do that until you get comfortable that you can do it in a quick, I don't know what quick would be, in maybe a minute or two, and then from there just try and determine what they are, and write them down and see if you're right. So then kind of maybe time yourself for what an efficient search would be. So maybe, I don't know, our first turn Ultra Ball, you could probably take 30 seconds, you know what I mean, and kind of try and write down what they are. This is still testing, of course, and see if you're right or see how wrong you were. Additionally, an important tip to remember is you don't have to do an all-in-one search, right? If you're going to play an Ultra Ball and a computer search on turn 1, you can Ultra Ball, search, maybe try and determine what 3 or 4 of them are, and then you can use that extra time for computer searching. Now, I'm not trying to encourage you to stall or take too long, but you do get a reasonable amount of time per search, and as long as you can kind of determine what that is on your first few searches, you're fine, as long as it's not taking up too much time. That's why we practice. That's why I recommended practicing earlier, is because I do believe that when you enter a tournament setting, checking your prizes is important, but for the fairness of the game, it should be secondary to whatever search you're doing or whatever game action you're completing. It's sort of like taking notes. You're allowed to take as many notes as you want, but you don't really get extra time for them. And I think this is very similar in that you just need to be able to learn to do it within the time constraints you already have. Speaking of taking notes, I think that's another kind of step to this, is that feel free to take notes on your prizes. Say you're going to practice all week and you're going to Fort Wayne Regionals later and you don't quite have it mastered. Maybe the first 2 searches, the first turn of the game, you recognize that you have a computer search and a Juniper prized, and then the next turn you do another 2 searches and you recognize that you have a 2 Raichus prized. Kind of keep that stuff in mind and write it down. Take notes. You're allowed to take notes. I don't know why more TCG players don't take notes. VGC players do it all the time. Again, you have to master the time. You have to master how much time this is taking you. But once you can do that, after I don't know, a few dozen games of practice, you'll have it down. And I promise you that determining what your prizes are will help you so much in life. I mean, even look at the World's 2012 finals that everyone jokes about. Harrison didn't know his Shaman was prized, and look how it cost him, right? If you can make those determinations early, even when you have 6 prizes left, if you can say, okay, I know that my prizes are this, so I need to, I know that let's say I don't know, my tech attacker is prized. I know that I need to draw it to win this matchup, so I'm going to take an extra aggressive line of play to take these 2 prizes and hope that one of them is my tech attacker. There's lots of things like that that can really, if you slow down and think about it, can really help you inside each game. And it's a good habit to have. Like I said, it's not going to take you very long. As long as you're willing to practice it, just do it while you're testing. You can master it very quickly. And like I said, you don't even need to master it. The first search of the game, even your first turn of the game, it's not totally necessary. Just make sure that through the first turn to maybe 3 of the game that you have it figured out. One thing I also wanted to say, just as a quick aside, some people in that Verbank thread were saying they like to play different arts of cards. While this can be helpful, so they want to play different arts of cards to be able to help them determine what's prized and what's not. Well, this can be helpful during testing, and if that's something that helps you during that, I think you should certainly do it. But in a tournament, I think you are losing way more than you're gaining by playing different arts of cards. Well, first of all, it makes your deck look terrible, but that's a subjective thing. But secondly, you're giving away a lot of information if if your opponent doesn't know if you have 2 EX attackers, or let's say 2 Shamans. They don't know if you're playing 2 or 3 Shamans, and you eventually play two full arts and a regular. They'll know what your count is, and it's something you really want to avoid. So prize checking is important. I think it's a very important factor of the game that everyone should learn, but don't sacrifice other things just to learn it. So this has been Trainer Tip Tuesday. Sorry for the delay in all these, guys. It's been a heck of a week. I'm going to have some more videos for you later this week, and then more videos next week, and hopefully we'll be returning to our normal schedule soon. Thanks for sticking with me through this, and let me know in the comments what you think of prize checking. Do you do it every time? Are you apt at it? Are you still learning? Do you completely ignore it? Let me know what you think.